bullets flying everywhere, a ton of questions, a ton of actions. Snowfall is strictly, well, I ain't gonna say strictly, but they're definitely in their stride right now. This is a fantastic episode. We got a lot to talk about tonight. It's episode 5 of Snowfall of season 5. Season 5, right?
Yep.
I don't know. We covered so much stuff. 5. The Iliad part 1 at that. So man, can't wait to get back for next week for episode 6 because things are just getting started for this chapter in season 5. But the Iliad, which is something, the title is a Greek poem. I actually did study a lot of Greek mythology in my high school years and kind of carried it on to college a little bit, but got away from it. But I knew when I saw this title, I was like, I know I've heard this before, but I had to still go look it up. So I'm not going to perpetrate like this was like on the back of my hand, but I did look it up and I remember, this was definitely something Greek related, and this is actually attributed towards the Greek poet Homer. But you said you've heard of this as well too. Where did you hear this reference from?
I swear it's a movie called The Iliad. I'm not losing my mind. I know I'm not losing my mind. I know I'm not losing my mind. It is a movie called The Iliad. Also, it's based off of Iliad, which is Troy. I knew that part, but I remember it's a movie called The Iliad.
Yeah.
Which, again, if you know the movie Troy, you know why it's based off of it. Why this episode would be named that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that happens in Troy. Trojan horse.
Yeah.
So, and they kind of hinted towards it a lot in this episode of it being someone who's coming after you that you just don't expect possibly coming after you.
True.
Even though it's not Peaches. They just blame it on her.
Well, yeah, because like right at this point now, getting into this episode, this is coming off the hymns of Sissy returning, and we'll talk about Sissy in a little bit. And a lot of people had a lot of suspicion about Veronique, saying she was giving all types of crazy looks, and they were suspecting her of certain things. I'm not sure if we might have got answers about that and more clarity about that this episode, but we did get a ton of more questions. As I said, a ton of bullets flying. Someone who is very close to them is very much aware of their whereabouts, knowing how to attack them. And thus the question does now lay, is it
who
Peaches?
Would know the operation?
Who would know it? Is it Peaches? Is it Black Diamond? Is it Dallas? Who could it be?
Is it Grady?
Questions.
The operation.
Questions.
Yeah.
Questions on questions here. So folks, drop in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts before we get into breaking this episode down. Who do you think is behind this very calculated attack? And it is calculated because they know exactly where everyone is at every given point, at critical points at that. Transactions happening and they're coming right through. They did catch a body. Leon caught a body, but it had no ID because these people are smart. Which they even said it in the episode, like, hey, these wasn't just no amateurs here. These folks knew.
One, they got to clearly be following them around. Like, while Franklin, sorry about that. Franklin drops. That made sense. Everyone knows where they make not everybody, but someone close operation would know and understand why they were making that drop there. Yeah. But who would have figured out them going out to lunch? You have to follow them to figure that out. That's not something that you would just know.
Yeah. So a brutal attack leaves the Saints crew in chaos. That is the official tagline for this episode. So let's get into it. So at the beginning of the episode, Veronique is on the phone and she has sealed the deal for the new downtown property. But in order for this to work, the funds got to be counted up. Things got to be in order. This now takes Franklin shifting some money from Offshore's accounts to others, or shipping it into Offshore accounts. Either way, he's shifting money around.
Shipping it from the money that him and Avi set up years ago.
Yeah.
In those offshore accounts that he flew to in Panama.
Yeah.
And him trying to pull money from there. But not only his money from there, but the entire crew's money from there. At least that now we understand. That's where the whole team is hiding their money at, is there.
Which brings him to Jerome and Louis' club. Hey, we need 10 million. We need you to invest, or 10%, or even 5 million. We just need you to be on board. And
or
Louis,
10% of 5 million.
It's something something for us to just be able to do this, And this is the statement that I've been waiting for, or should I say the bit of dialogue I've been waiting for from Louis that's been in all of the trailers is that we got our own dreams, but I mean, I know you got your dreams, but they ain't ours. And I was wondering when was she going to drop that line? So starting off with you, how do you feel, and obviously there's some resolve that comes a little bit later, but how do you feel in regards to the tension between Louis and Jerome and Franklin and Veronique? What is the animosity going on right now?
It seems just to be a business type of thing. Again, this whole time, we've always seen the family put Franklin's dreams first.
Yeah.
Like, this is I think in season 4, when we got a hint at what Louis and Jerome wanted to do when they went down south and they looked at the operation, we kind of got a hint of them wanting to break off. But
Little Rock.
But then they went right back in form. They fell right back in line with the family. And here, I think it's just them saying, you know what? No, we're tired of doing your thing. Your thing has gotten us where we are now, which is more violence, more shootouts. And they're like, nah, we don't want any parts of this idea. Plus, again, earlier in the season, they talked about it. If they invest $10 million, that's it for them. They have nothing else. And that's a hell of a risk to take on someone else's dream.
Yeah.
And I think that was her pinpointing that out. We understand them two have tension, but the tension is always from the way the business is run.
Yeah.
And this is just them standing up finally and saying, your dream is not our dream. We wish you the best, but we're not invested in your dreams anymore.
Yeah. And again, I mean, like, when you think about Franklin's, Veronique, and you can even say Sissy's dream in terms of real estate and an end game to being out of the game, seems wise, seems smart. But Louis and Jerome are thinking expansion, maybe new city, new town, whatever it may be. We're still having fun with this. And I think it's probably because of the idea that, well, they do got the club, so they already have real estate. So they kind of already got a taste of what that is. And is that satisfying? Clearly not, because they're still in the drug game. So I'm thinking they're just crossroads kind of going on here. But that's where Sissy comes into play, because Veronique said maybe it's not you they need to hear this from. They need another voice. And this is Sissy back on her missionary shit. I mean, that's what she does. She comes in and she's almost the center core of the family, like the grandma of the family. I mean, she is kind of a grandma now, right? And with her coming in, preaching the gospel, smoothing things over, which we obviously will come back when this scene happened. This starts to kind of move the needle just a little bit in terms of consideration. But before we can actually kind of see that, come to light,
exactly,
some things kind of happen. So I think it is important. First of all, I think it's almost a miracle that Sissy is back for them, because without Sissy, none of this is going down. And this whole trajectory of the season and the story is different if Sissy wasn't here. And I think in terms of the storytelling for this season, that's why it was probably important for them to bring them back, because they needed somebody to kind of play peer mediator between Louis and Jerome and Franklin and Veronique, and no better person than Sissy. And folks, yes, I know you all are kind of wondering about Alton still. Nothing yet. I know folks are still saying that they think he's still alive and so on, but nothing yet. I just want to mention that.
What happened if it's Alton?
And the Panthers? Well, I have a tidbit about that, but we'll get to it in a second. But with all of this, of course, Franklin was pissed, but like I said, Sissy later on came and did the job. Now, going to Sissy back at the diner with this guy, Ruben. Who are you, Ruben? Who is this guy?
What agency do you work for? Is that at this point? That's all we're trying to figure. Well, we know it's not the CIA, so we know that.
Yeah.
So it automatically has to be the FBI. It has to be.
Could be, or could be some other foreign intelligence. It's going to be a big deal, and I'm very excited for it. Which I'm going to throw this to you. I just want to kind of set the table real quick. So he comes up with this whole proposition of saying like, "Hey, we'll take him down. We'll take Teddy down. We'll kill him and do what we got to do. But we got to protect your family. And in order to protect your family, tell me if you haven't heard a Ponzi scheme ever in your life. Like, this is literally it. This is literally that phone call of saying, we need you to extend your car insurance, because no one believes anything that he's saying right now. I need to protect your family.
Sure, we need to protect your family, but first, give us $100 and we'll flip your 100 into $800.
Good old Cash App Ponzi scheme going on right now.
Exactly.
But my man said, we need to learn everything about your family, so please bug your son, and that way we can protect him if we know everything that's going on. And it's a no-brainer, folks. We've had now 5 seasons of Sissy protecting her son. If this conversation or this part of the story would have leaned any bit of the needle of her actually considering this, I would have cut it off. Not even playing. Not even playing. Like, it literally would have made no sense. But that she shut it right down and said, it ain't happening. We done been down this road, Alton. I'm not giving up my son for the sake of anything else. We're going to take Teddy down, but not this way. But he did say take the pen and do whatever you want to do with it. So the question is, and I want to, obviously give you a big piece of the pizza here to kind of go through. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? And how does this get resolved? Because this whole bugging thing, I'm not feeling it. I'm not seeing it happen. But how do you kind of see this all come about? And also, I guess the biggest question is, where do you see the pen coming into play at some future point?
It could possibly come into play with either her running into Teddy somehow, somewhere, and trying to put it in his car.
Okay.
Or her putting it on Jerome and Louis. That's the other thing that thought popped into my mind, is that something could lead to her doing that as a way to her thinking, if I get to Teddy through them, I'm fine with that, just as long as Franklin is not in trouble. Which is, it's messed up but we understand that Sissy puts Franklin before anything else. So it wouldn't be overly surprising if she decides to put in Louis' club and it catches something completely different. As for who he is and when he approached her, at this point we have to assume that he approached her when she was in Mexico.
Either that, and I actually did go back to watch last week's episode, or was that just pretty much the code word to kind of smooth over them meeting each other for the first time? Because it was the whole idea of like, have I met you before? I don't think so. You kind of remind me of somebody in Mexico, and then it kind of like clicked this, and it's finally good to meet you and so on. But he did say, I got plenty of friends down there and whatnot. So I think it could go either way. But I to be honest, I think the build up and the intrigue and who he is, who Ruben is definitely interesting. He kind of reminds me of homegirl. I can't even think of her name right now, but the reporter last season that was trying to take down Alton, where it's like we wasn't getting a lot, but she was so critical into what was happening. And I think this is just another character where you're like a recurring character in a pivotal part with limited scenes.
Let's talk wrestling. Or we're going to mess up and find out that while Sissy thinks he's part of a government agency,
he's not.
He's not, and he's part of the cartel, who they're clearly battling now for real estate and space.
That's where I was feeling last week when we were talking. I kind of changed a little bit, but that's how I was feeling last week. I was going to make an analogy. Go ahead.
There's another thing too, and this is something else we got to think about. If he is, perhaps, I know this is a little bit of stretch for some people, if he's part of the cartel, this whole setup is by them also. Because who else can hire no name shooters just to shoot up stuff? The cartel.
Yeah. And they made emphasis on the southern border. We know what we're talking about here. They just haven't officially said it. And again, we already zoned in on our first episode about what time period this is and what was going down in Mexico at this time. So there's that. I was gonna say, Ruben gives me, and like, please don't try to compare this like to the T, but it kind of reminds me of like, in terms, because we always gotta make reference analogies, like John Cena. He's part-time, but when he comes in, he makes a big impact. He works 3 months and then he's gone. And I think it's one of the sorts of things where each season they have a character who has such a really critical part in the storyline. They have a few episodes and then they're gone, and then they're gone for the season, for the series, and I think this is one of the ones where like he's a small fish to a bigger picture, and man, would that be crazy if it is the cartel? Because when you say a small fish, Super duper small at this point now, you know,
because that would be the people who have the most competition with between Teddy and Franklin. It's the cartel.
Yeah.
They're trying to move in drugs. You getting all these drugs for free, or from Teddy's perspective, you're getting it for free and then flooding it with pure cocaine. Versus what the cartel would want to do, it would kind of create an issue.
Well, also Teddy is also still trying to keep this whole connection with Colombia, and they're like, oh, so by the way, we get it better, cheaper, quicker, and we're right here. Let's get this cash flow going, you know, and do the math here. But we talked about that. We ain't going to spend too much time, but like, it could be interesting. And I'm right now, all my eyes and attention is set on Ruben, so I can't wait for episode 6 because I feel like they got to give us more, especially since it's a 2-part episode. You know, every once in a while we call off of work for whatever reasons. I think Peaches picked the best day ever to do so because he's clearly sick.
Well, we established last episode that Peaches has HIV.
Think so, and I think it's a little bit more going down that trajectory because the nurse brought up
about someone recently, another nurse catching it from someone, and when she says you got to be careful nowadays with people in blood. So like they're giving you the hints towards, because this is again the boom of the epidemic, so it would make sense possibly that someone in the crew would have it.
Yeah,
and it's just more interesting to see what angle they may go down him catching it.
Yeah. But he called off sick. Didn't know they got sick days in the drug game. But hey, Peaches worked it out, put in his leave slip, and may have saved his life for now. But this is when we get the whole Teddy and Franklin doing a drop. You know, the old regular. But a drive-by go down. This is where all of the bullets and the craziness goes down. First of all, I thought this was a fantastic scene. I thought this scene was just done amazing. I had a lot of fun with watching it. By all means, like them pulling off the action, everything. I think they did a fantastic job. But to toss it to you, let's kind of go before we actually get into details. What was kind of your reaction as these things started to occur? The events started to occur, and let's start with the whole Peaches not being there thing. What was your whole thought as this whole scene played out?
Well, from the beginning with Peaches not being there, we kind of saw it coming. He was sick as a dog in the last episode, so we kind of could understand why he would call off sick there. But as the bullets started flying, my first thought was, oh, Franklin set this up. That was my very first thought, is that Franklin set this up, and Franklin set it up because he needs the extra money. Which better way to get the extra money than something happening and you possibly get your hands on all the drugs and not give up a dime of your money. You just never know if someone's coming to jack it for him. But then as the scene progressed, you understand where it really had nothing to do with him. It became just a fight for survival that I liked in this scene. And it extends to something that Teddy did that I know to a lot of people out there seems nuts that he did it. But boy, did it make perfectly good sense at the time for him to do it. Just during that shootout, from him stopping that car and him going into the bag of cocaine. And people thinking, is he going to snort the cocaine or something like that? And the moment he packed his wounds with it, I said, that's literally what you should do with that much pure cocaine, is pack your wounds with it, because it cuts off the blood vessel. You're not going to bleed out if you pack your wound with cocaine. People, do not put crack in your wounds out there in the streets. You're going to die immediately. But for the cocaine part, it made perfectly good sense for him to do it. I just love that whole setup. It's the realism that you got at that moment with that shootout, and that no one can shoot, because gangbangers in the 80s couldn't shoot. And this was a perfect idea. They had them dead to rights, and technically only shot twice and hit them out of the 80 plus bullets that were shot.
Yeah. Did you have any fear that we would lose a main character here?
No, not in this scene. Not like that. It wouldn't be Snowfall if you're gonna lose just a main character in a random drive-by.
Yeah.
They would have to build it up a little bit more for you to lose that character. Yeah. But normally, Snowfall has a tendency to use excessive violence to set up other characters.
Yeah.
And again, that's what this feels like. This is a scene to set up something bigger.
Folks, let us know. Did you think that we would lose a main character at this point of the episode? You know, Gustavo got shot, Teddy got shot, Franklin kind of ducking and dodging. Franklin got behind the vehicle, behind the wheel, something we haven't seen in a while. So yeah, did you have any clue? And that poor replacement driver, one day on the job and done. But
that's all it took for fake Peaches to die. Fake Peaches died so fast.
But if y'all had any, if any of you all thought that we would lose a major character or so on, definitely drop the comments. Let us know. Now going to the next scene, we got my brother, my good old brother, Leon Luther King, out here preaching.
Still preaching to the niggas in the street, Joe.
Yeah, they were in class heavy. But I think what's important, and there's not much to talk about here, but it is important because you understand what the dynamic is going on back in the projects, because they are trying to teach a new philosophy, and there's a ton of ideas floating around. You got Poindexter, you know, the smart
nigga. You can say it,
yeah.
smart nigga.
Yeah,
because they call him that every opportunity they get.
Yeah, you know, so they mixing some thoughts up and whatnot. So, you know, the importance, I think, here is that we can potentially see the philosophy of the projects changing. Obviously, Sissy done dropped some gems to him from the previous episode, and I think he's trying to preach it down the line. And
he's becoming Leon Hampton. This nigga is, I'm teaching some revolutionary principles here. I say, oh man.
So yeah, but we'll come back to Leon Luther King in a minute. So now we go to the good old brunch. You know, they got what you get at the brunch? I can't even think of the name of it right now.
Oh man, mimosas.
The mimosas, thank you.
They got they got everything going on there. It's the 80s, so they ain't had chicken and waffles yet.
I mean, they're about their third round in. Things are getting good.
Sissy Louis is sweating out her edges. She ain't for this heat.
Listen, Sissy's on her third script out here trying to preach the good word about why they need to be a part of it, and it's just all good in the hood until they get shot at. Now before this happens, their pagers are all going off, which I love this because Sissy has no clue. And remember, because she is clueless about everything, which is why she says she needs to know everything. So the fact that these 911 alerts are coming through their phone and she continues to preach through it instead of like, yo, what's the deal? I mean, I gotta throw another analogy in here, but folks, we all know the Power Rangers. When Zordon called, everybody's looking. And in this case, you got Sissy out here saying like, wait, what? Just keep going. Not even stopping at all. Not even acknowledging it. And, you know, Jerome looks at it. Then Louis gets it. And then Jerome's like, hey, I got to get up. And then that's where the bullets start to fly. Now, at this brunch, there was a ton of deaths. Sissy is shook. And I bring that up because I think that may have ramifications. And before we get to the second part of this, ultimately, what was your thoughts? And we're going to get a lot of reactions to a lot of the things that happened. But what was your reaction now that the second group has been shot at now, and everything that's been built up to that point?
And this was just a coordinated attack by someone. Again, you can't pinpoint who it is at this point because they make sure to show you that these are just regular gangbangers. They really highlight the point that this is just a regular group of people, because I swear one of them looked like he was a nigga from Boys in the Hood. I was waiting for somebody to yell out Ricky as he was shooting.
You can't use that. I already did that.
Well, this one was more closer to where he was leaning out the car. Oh right there, I was expecting them. Ricky! But it just showed that these were just regular shooters. I think they're doing a good job, especially with this scene, of highlighting that these are just regular gangbangers shooting, because you need to understand that it's somebody behind them that's actually pulling all of this off here. But this one also showed it was no mercy. They didn't care who they hit. Like, they were just told, shoot up everything until you possibly can hit them. Mm-hmm. Because this was a tragedy.
Yeah.
Complete tragedy. They completely shot and killed any and everybody walking there.
Yeah.
But again, it shows that this is someone who clearly doesn't necessarily go by the code that Franklin and them believe in, which is no civilians. As we clearly saw last season with Leon, when that situation happened, how hard he took it, that he led to someone else's dying. And here we see the reverse of it, and someone like, we don't care. Yeah. Shoot everybody, kill everybody. This is our goal here.
So now at this point, did you start to now draw further conclusions as to who you think it is? Are you still kind of like in like, well, I don't know.
Much, you know what? No, it was closer to possibly trying to eliminate people.
Okay.
Like at first I thought maybe this was something Sissy was setting up to scare them. That went away by this happening. Franklin's girl, I thought maybe this was her trying to take over the operation at one point.
Oh yeah.
Even though it kind of still could be that.
Listen, that may be the hottest prediction right now because everybody's suspicious of her. Yeah. And no one trusts her. And if that's something that she did calculated, is wild. But hold on, but let's talk about that before you finish. Of the shooting, and I guess you got to kind of look at it. I mean, a real, if there was a real investigation, they would question everybody that survived, and they will look at
with real investigation. She wouldn't have been able to hide those guns in her purse.
Oh, we're not gonna talk about that. But in terms of it, if it was a real investigation, they would do process of elimination to say, well, who actually was like, I guess in other words, to kind of like to assess who was more at risk. Where were you at when this happened? What did you do when this happened, and so on? So we know Jerome got up and shot. Louis was shooting. Sissy was scared out of her mind. What was Veronique doing? Was she inside?
No, she was still down by Sissy.
Okay.
But when Louis flipped the table over, she got down first. When Louis said get down, she got down first.
You're right.
And then I think she pulled Sissy down because Louis then flipped the table over.
Yeah, you're right. Because when that waitress came out, I thought it was Veronique at one point. Yeah. When she came out to check the guy, and I was like, "Oh no, Veronique's over there." And I was about to say, "Whoa!"
Hey, that don't mean it can't be Veronique.
Yeah. Hey, this is the theory right now that no one trusts her.
Hey,
amongst all the other
Veronique is the long lost sister of Man Boy, and she's back to get his revenge.
God, I love the skin complexion continuity. Golly. So beyond this point now, now that it all happened, time to clear the scene. And this is where all of them decide like time to go, but they get frisked by the feds.
As well as you should if you're leaving a scene where it just got shot up and you are the only ones that ain't been shot up and you're the only ones leaving.
Yeah.
You're clearly making it way too hot for yourself.
Let's just go forward here with the cop. The cop, Louis' friend, comes in and doing all his fuckboy shit and whatnot. Jerome is just not having it and whatnot. But so what do you now make of this? Because the question at hand is that, remember, he still wants somebody at this point, and he clearly is making his presence known. I thought it was very, very, very important that Jerome also is fully aware of everything that's happened. He may not have been in those scenes, but he knows everything. So what now do you make of this whole idea of she still needed to turn somebody over? And do you think Jerome will actually intervene with that now? Because, he's more like a hands-off, do what you do, but he's not feeling cuz. So do you think he now may kind of impose his will on that whole situation?
I think he has to at this point. As he said, I watch you constantly disrespect my wife. Like it's not going to work anymore. It's not going to happen anymore. And just for him attempting to punk in a way Jerome, it made it worse for him. But as Jerome said, man, what you want us to say be thankful for? The amount of coke you snort, what you do at this club? Like, in all honesty, this is someone who he feels he has them over a barrel, but he's a dirty cop. Anybody smart enough to deal with a dirty cop, you still have the dirt on that cop for a reason that you're not going to let that go. But it's another puzzle piece that's left out there of you wondering exactly how does this fit into the equation? Could he have possibly put together this shoot by him selling information to someone else? Like it just brought in another possibility for me.
Okay. So moving on. So, after the first drive-by with Teddy and Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
Gustavo and Franklin rode off. Teddy rode off in his car. So at this point now, Franklin and Gustavo, they're trying to make calls. They're hitting all their folks. 911, things are going down. We need help. We need to be picked up. We've been shot
in the wrong neighborhood, as Gustavo said. Clearly, this is not the right neighborhood for
Read the room, and he definitely was on it. Before we talk about that in a second, Franklin now realizes that, Jerome and them has been shot at too. Like, this is like bad, and he was only able to receive one call. And at that point it was too late, because that's when the Chulos come through, and
they Cholos or Chulos?
Cholos. Thank you. Cholos. Cholos. Cholos is a slang for anybody that is a Mexican gangster. We'll go with that.
Hey, or the extras from Blood In, Blood Out, Bound by Glory that were in this jump.
Yeah,
little man looked just like he was one of them dudes who they dropped over the fire hydrant in that
movie. But yeah, they come out, they G-checking. What's in that bag? Run that bag, cuz. And Gustavo, he not no sucker. Very cool, calm, and collective no matter what. I don't think his demeanor has ever changed, except for with the kids in last season. But other than that, he's pretty flatline in terms of his emotions and whatnot. But Franklin pulls out the gun and he flexes a little bit, which was a really intense scene, but it was the wrong neighborhood, bro. That's not gonna work. That's why Gustavo says run.
It's not a black neighborhood.
Yeah, bro. Like, it's not gonna work, and they don't know who you are, or all that power and authority that you may have is not gonna float around here. But yeah, they get chased, and they gotta kind of seek some form of shelter in the meantime until somebody could come pick them up out of the wrong neighborhood, because their car died, by the way. Just if anybody wonder how they got there, the car got shot up. Yeah. So that's that. We'll come back to that. Now Teddy here is in a very opposite side of danger, because he actually could die. He is losing a lot of blood, he is losing strength, and so on, which now he seeks the help of looks to be a old time friend here. Who is this lady? Because I have no clue.
I wanted to say, is she one of the people that were, remember when he went to Colombia?
Okay.
And he got with a group of people? Because she clearly says back home, I was a doctor and did surgeries. Here I can only. So I just assume it's someone he placed there, someone he helped get out that situation, so he knew where to go back to.
Okay. So he needs $250,000 or if he wants his life to be saved. So forget everything you just said and everything he may have did for this person. It doesn't matter. Run that check.
hey, you can have that $250,000, baby. Not issue at all. I just packed this wound with cocaine. I need help immediately.
But Teddy did opt it out. He said, "Do not call the cops,"
because he knew better.
I want to get your take on that. This is also where she said she can't be careful. We can't be too careful around blood lately. HIV. And then she said, threw some salt in that. Get a little bit of pain, a little bit of pressure. You'll stay alive. She's gonna go get some supplies. And I'll just give set the whole table for this one. She does come off very edgy, but yeah, as you said, she is now in America. She's not able to operate in the means that she used to be able to operate. So she's a surgeon. She has skill, but she just can't do it legally here.
And it turns her on, clearly.
Thank you. She has fantasies while doing surgery, which is very there's some sicko out there that probably wants this.
It's a reason she shouldn't be a surgeon in the US. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if I woke up from a surgery and my surgeon was masturbating, we would have a big problem.
But overall, to this point now, what is your whole state of assessment on Teddy, his situation, and this chick?
You're kind of wondering here, why is the trust there? Because again, it's not fully explained to us why he would trust her this much. Because at this point, she's going to perform a surgery on you, and you know you're going to pass out. You understand that you are in a very vulnerable state, and this is where he decided to go to. When he could have went to a hospital and got it cleaned up really quickly, and CIA, we could cover a lot of stuff up, but for him to go to her, you got to wonder why. Where's the trust that this will be the person that you would go to?
Yeah.
And for her to say, the moment she says, "Who's bleeding in my house?" and the moment she sees him, she says, "Oh, of course it's you, Thomas." Like that's something else too. For her calling him Thomas.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder, what is their actual connection? I can think that's where she came from, but I feel in the next episode we're going to get more clarity on exactly who she is.
Listen, man, this is a hookup. That's all that is. He brought her back. He saved her. She didn't want to be saved, and now she's collecting her check. So best believe that fantasy is very, very particular in interest, and she's expressing it because she has some desires, and we'll see how that goes soon for my man Teddy, who's on his deathbed at this point. But yeah, he's gonna have to run that $250,000 check in order to get his life saved and whatnot. But it is what it is. Now, on the other end, we start to wonder now, because here's where my predictions come into play. So Jerome and them's been shot up at. Franklin's them been shot up at. That only leaves one other piece to the puzzle. What's up with Leon and them? So Leon is calling, and he's trying to figure out where Franklin's at.
Because
so that gave me
page.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that gives me a little bit of comfort that it's like, okay, well, Leon's in the house and it can't be them, but it is what it is. But Leon is trying to establish connection. He's letting his folks know, like, hey, I haven't seen him send a message like this in a while. This is definitely bad. But in the meantime, from everything that happened in the previous episode, he's here to pick up. He has a mission still. He needs to equip his homies in the hood. So he's going to pick up some heavy artillery. He did pass up on the RPG, which I thought was going to be nuts if he had that. I also think it's a little bit interesting because he opted out to get handguns and shotguns. Now, the reason why I think it's interesting because RPGs have no accuracy, period. It's not happening. But it seems like Leon may be a good shot. So maybe he did pick something to be a little bit more
stealth.
Thank you.
Because other than that, like when Avi offered him the weapon, you're kind of looking like, what the hell is someone on the street going to do with that?
Flex. That's all it is. It's straight flexing. But I mean, Leon's a good shot, and it's been shown because they just got shot at. And when all this goes down, again, another drive-by. Leon, everybody takes covers. They lose a couple of nobodies, but Leon at the end, he gets in this very instinctive mode where he comes out and he just goes out shooting. I mean, this dude is Max Payne out here. He locked in and he caught a body. So for you, and I should also add that Leon's fearless and he's ready to go to war. I mean, he was ready to go to war before this, but now he's really ready to go to war. Now he got his guns and everything.
He wasn't ready to go to war with other black folk. He didn't want to go to war with no black folk.
Not at all.
Not all.
Yeah. But now, because this is the third part here. Now Leon has been shot up at. Leon that did what he did. He preached this whole gospel and whatnot. Now, what is your whole assessment of who you think they are, and ultimately, what's the state of mind with everything that happened with Leon?
Well, here with Leon, it didn't change my mind. I never would have thought Leon would be the one who would set up this shooting. The first thing that came to mind with me is that Avi should fire everybody because his boys cannot shoot. Like they are shooting at you with Uzis and handguns. Your boys got AKs and they hit no one in a moving car. How's that possible? You don't even have to aim an AK properly. Point it in a direction and pull the trigger. You should be able to kill at least 4 people. It was very weird that they killed absolutely nobody. But this also, I want to say, this actually hurt Leon more than anything else. Because Leon didn't want to kill anybody. I think he, in his mind, moved past that as even an option anymore. So when this threat is taken upon his life and that person is bringing him right back to the place that he left, it's a feeling of hurt that you get from Leon after the instincts go away.
Yeah.
Once the fight or flight goes away, you can see the look on his face especially when they pull the mask down.
Yeah.
He just seems so hurt.
And I was gonna say really quickly, to be clear, he's buying guns to protect his folks from the cop for what they did. And so essentially, to go to war may be an inaccurate statement because he's not actually looking to provoke it. He's waiting in case they come to their doorstep. So you want to make sure everyone's good. But yeah, you continue what you were saying.
No, but that was the main part. This hurt Liam more than anything else. He had moved past the point of killing. But then it just took another chessboard off the piece. So you're like, okay, so clearly it's not. I didn't think it would have ever been Leon. And this confirmed that it wasn't Leon. But then it just highlights that maybe we still need to look at this crew and see who wasn't harmed at all during these gunfights. That right there is worth the rewatch. Folks, if you've never been a fan of ours, this is your first time ever watching a review, we watch these things. Sometimes we're given early access. This happens to be one. We watch it one time. We hit the review, natural reactions and recaps of it. Not perfect, definitely with flaws. We don't try to be perfect. I can clearly go back and watch it right now if I wanted to do it. But this right here is a good reason to go back and rewatch it. And I rarely do that, but I think in order to kind of build the theory as to who it is, because I think that's going to be the big question going forward, because I don't think they would actually give that up next episode. That's a lot. I don't think we're going to get who Ruben is and who's been shooting in the next episode. Again, next episode 6, and this is what, an 8-episode season, right? I don't think it's happening next episode. Is it 8 or not
10?
At all. It's maybe 10.
Okay. Either way, it's still not happening next episode.
They're not you. If they gave you the shooter, you won't know who Ruben is. It's one or the other you have to get.
But I think you're right. Process of elimination is the mindset going into this episode. And if we knew it was going to be like this, I would have locked that mindset in going forward. But you all, whether you're watching this before you watch the episode or not, now you have the tools and the knowledge to know process of elimination in each and every one of the shootouts. 3 shootouts. Look at each character that are shot or affected. Franklin was being targeted, obviously. The first one's it's none of them. That's the thing. Everybody's been affected by that. And to think Teddy, who is the root of all evil, who literally was about to die, there's no way he would have went that route, But it's interesting it will be interesting to see who it is going forward. Let's talk about the last part of this episode now. Gustavo and Teddy. What the hell, bro? So these two fools get tranquilized, and you
said Teddy, Franklin, Gustavo, and Franklin.
Yes, thank you. These two fools get tranquilized, and they are high as hell at a point before they passed out. But before that, they're definitely on some. you gonna get stuff, bro. That shit was so funny.
Let's go back a little bit here. Rule number 1. And I don't know too many rules about growing up in the hood, but one rule that everyone knows: the house that doesn't have gates on it, the house that looks like it's not protected, is the last house you go into. Because if you're in that neighborhood and you don't have stuff protecting everything, it's because everyone knows in that neighborhood not to fuck with your house. And that's where they made the mistake here, is going into that house and they got to be shot with a tranquilizer dart. It's so disrespectful.
Absolutely loved it. And I never thought Joe Exotic was going to be part of this series, but here we are.
Clearly,
Tiger King.
He clearly thought Franklin was Carol Baskins or something, because man, he shot him dead right away. And Frank's like, what the hell is this?
Some of the funniest dialogue in the episode. And I gotta tell you, Gustavo was high, and his acting of him being high was the funniest thing ever. He might have actually been high for them to do that, because my man was definitely zooted back there, just like his glasses halfway and everything. So they're captured. They're in a cage, and there's a tiger on the opposite side of the cage. So keyword captured. We'll see what happens with them going forward, because that did absolutely end off the episode. But on the other end, we see Teddy also high as fuck coming out of surgery. And his his surgeon, his we gotta give a name for her. We gotta give her something. Let me see. For her exotic fantasies and whatnot. We'll figure it out.
Surgery Bay.
Yeah.
Surgery Bay. That's her name.
She's doing some sneaking around. She looks through the car for whatever. Don't even care what she was looking for. It didn't matter, but we all knew what was going to happen here.
We knew she was going to find them drugs.
And my, was she happy? Now, listen, I at one point was like, okay, she needs to be dealt with. But then I said, well, actually, they can use her.
Exactly.
But also, that's all I had for that. But something you said earlier rung a bell. If she's from Colombia and she's realizing that drugs are coming, and she may
from the CIA, because she knows Teddy is with the CIA,
there may be another bit of cash being needed. It's a lot of possibilities. Either she can say, "Hey, pay me or I'm telling," or he can offer, because she's literally a nobody at this point. She could be involved. She may have some type of she may be able to establish something herself. She may have like some contacts herself or whatnot. It could be interesting, but she now is aware that these things are happening. And to me, I was shocked was that she wasn't like, I need this. Then she was kind of like, oh, okay. So interesting stuff. But for you, thoughts on the last two moments of this episode? Where do you see kind of things going?
Very comical with Franklin and Gustavo, because when you wake up and you're next to a tiger, we have questions on how the fuck did this guy get a tiger there with no issue. But just to see how that perceived danger affects
hold on. You know what era it is. Everybody had exotic animals back in the 80s.
Ain't nobody had no fucking tigers in the 80s.
Shit. You watch Miami Vice. You know what it was.
Look here.
Things were going down. You know what it was.
Those were coke fueled tigers. That's not the case. That's not the case. And everybody then in Miami wanted a white tiger. This is a regular ass like tiger.
Listen, bro, you're not getting a white tiger to hit a port and get all the way to California. So he had to take what he could get, bro.
He had to get Tony. That's Tony the tiger. But just for him to wake up to a tiger, it kind of makes you chuckle a little bit and wonder, like, just how much danger are they in, and where's this show taking you at? Because it's kind of a questionable thing, and if it's not done properly, it could look really, really silly. So you're kind of wondering, like, what's going to happen with them moving forward.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then the other key part is with Teddy, she's found his drugs.
Yeah.
What is it? How much information does she know about what Teddy do? She knows he works with the CIA. I think here we get a test to see just how close they are, because is she going to run off with the drugs? Is she going to take the drugs? Or is she going to perfectly stash the car for him?
Yeah. And again, what I was trying to say was, how much leverage does she have in this entire situation? I think there may be some romantic tie here of some sort. And I think she has the upper end of it. But how much leverage does she have in all of this? You know, how much stake does she have in things back home in Colombia? How much does she know currently right now? How much is she willing to potentially give up for the right price in terms of, if you don't pay me, I'll snitch? Who knows what it could be? It could be interesting, but she, at the very bare minimum, she could be useful, because my man was dead and he brought her back to life. It's always good to have that one hood medic, you know? Oh man. Is there anything else that you feel like we did not cover that you want to chime in on?
Not really, because amazingly, it's hard with part ones, right? You're gonna get a straightforward storyline here. And while it's a lot of action, the story is straightforward, and they left blanks for a reason. We're just happy it's not like an end of a season type thing. Like this is a part one based off of a book that most people read in high school or heard about in high school. You understand what the Battle of Troy was. You understand why that was done the way it is. So then you get to understand the name of this story. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you go Troy's route, he was betrayed by family?
In Troy, with you talking about the Battle of Troy with Achilles, right?
Yeah. We know what Achilles was working for.
Yes, and the biggest thing about with that, I mean, the whole thing was about sketching your name in history. That's what it was, making a mark on the war in order for you to be remembered. And whether you know about the whole legend of Achilles and why him being shot in his ankle was his fatal blow, because when he was dipped in the pool of eternity, he was dipped by one leg. So
yeah,
that's why we got the Achilles ankle. See, I know my stuff, but and right, there's two elements of it in terms of the penetration of the walls of Troy, which no one could do. They used the Trojan horse, which was the tactic of being given a gift that actually was really not a gift. And then the other thing about it was Achilles in the war, a demigod who wanted to sketch his name in history.
So could the gift that's really not a gift be a fake pregnancy?
Stop it! Don't get them going, bro.
Hey,
don't get them going, bro. But listen, you know what else is kind of crazy? I mean, I don't know. I want to predict. It's a part 1, so I am going to leave it for next week. I think let's leave the tab open here, folks. We'll close out next week on this. The couple of questions we have is, folks, how much can we trust Veronique at this point? To everybody affected, she's the only one untouched with her plans. Her plans of securing that real estate, not a problem. Quite frankly, this whole situation with Louis and Jerome being shot may have them more lenient to opting out of the game.
Yep,
because Louis got shot and it was traumatizing to her. And you know, Jerome does whatever his wife wants to do.
Everything she wants to do.
Good man there.
Happy life, happy wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy wife, happy life. And then you know, Sissy, she always wanted to get into real estate. So that's 4 of them right there. Hey. Franklin right there, also with it. So that's one of the questions. The other question here is what was my other question? Oh yeah, how does Gustavo and Franklin get out? What's next for Leon? What's the state of Peaches? I had another question obviously Ruben's the biggest question. I had another question. I cannot.
Where's Wanda?
Dog, I was gonna say that earlier and I forgot. How can no one blame Wanda so far? Where is Wanda? She got a new job working with Veronique. She need
to get out. She said, "I bet you need to make some money." So maybe this is her way. You never know.
Here is my question. Here's the question. After they were held up by the cops, 2 people went in one car, the other 2 went in the other car. What is that conversation with Veronique and Sissy going to be like at this point? That will be the most telling. Remember the last time they had interaction? It was like, hush, girl, mama talking.
Yep.
Now they are all alone, and there will be an exchange of words, feelings, emotions, reactions, plans, strategies, and so on. And they will be curious to see how does that go. And we're gonna just see. I got a wild card prediction. Everybody's saying that Veronique is really the covert bad guy in this.
Yep, that's what everybody wants to believe right now.
Yeah, I wonder when they start to get suspicious of her. Do they actually? I don't know. Does the pen come into play at all here potentially? Can they find out she may be up to more, running with another crew? As matter of fact, I know we need to end the show, but let's not forget, folks, we were introduced to Veronique with no backstory. I mean, we know about her education, we know about how good she is, but everybody got dirt. Everybody. And where do we go from here? So, folks, let us know your comments, your predictions, suggestions, with all that sorts of different things in terms of this review. This again is part 1, episode 5, Iliad. We'll be back next week for episode 2. And I should announce too, we got some special things coming, some special guests coming. You know how we do. So stay tuned for that. We'll be here the entire season along with all other things here. So subscribe, jump in the comments, notification bell so that you know when we go live and all that other sorts of good stuff. You know, the whole rigmarole of YouTube and whatnot. But we'll be back each and every week with Snowfall reviews. Thank you for watching, folks.